Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 7:13 p.m. Welcome to tonight's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Members of the Planning and Zoning Commission and public may participate in the public hearings of December 2nd, 2024. All participants will be able to speak when called upon. At this time, I would like to explain the procedures to be followed during the meeting. The Commission has both a consent agenda and an agenda for consideration of individual items. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-contested. Item number 1, citizen comments, provides the opportunity for members of the public to address the Commission on items that are listed on the consent agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and the Secretary will let you know when 1 minute is left. For all plats and plans conditionally approved or disapproved by the Commission, the applicant will be provided a written statement of the conditions for the conditional approval or the reasons for disapproval at the end of the meeting. These conditions and reasons are not arbitrary. They are directly related to the requirements of Local Government Code Chapter 212 and include citations to the law that is the basis for the conditional approval or disapproval. For individual consideration items, I will call the applicant or his or her representative to present the case. The applicant will have up to 5 minutes to present the case, which includes all persons representing the application. Then those wishing to speak in favor and those wishing to speak in opposition will have up to 5 minutes each to present his or her comments. Prior to speaking, please give your name and address. Remember to speak directly into the microphone, as this hearing is recorded for public record. Any handouts you wish to provide should be given to staff. Please do not approach the Commission. The next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission will be Monday, January 6th, 2025. The next item on our agenda is citizen comments on items listed on the consent agenda. April, has anyone signed up to speak on any items on the consent agenda?
No one signed up. Please proceed.
Okay. And we have a new secretary, but she is out, so I'll ask our current vice chair and former Secretary Hack, would you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Thank you, sir. We have 2 items on the consent agenda for approval. The first item is approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes of Monday, November 4th, 2024. The second item is case number 2024-349-PL. It is a Beltline Grand Prairie Industrial preliminary and final plat for platting of 2 lots for industrial use. It's located at 2451 South Beltline Road.
All right. On the consent agenda items, do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on items 2 and 3. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, on to consent agenda conditional approval, item 4.
Thank you, sir. On the consent agenda for conditional approval, there's one item, 2024-255-PL, Elysian Estates Edition. It's the preliminary and final plat of 22 lots for single-family residential development and one lot for private school. It's located at 6801 Colwell Boulevard. It is subject to the conditions as provided in the staff report.
Okay. Do we have a motion for approval subject to the conditions in the staff report?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, on to the consent agenda items for disapproval.
Yes, sir. There are 2 items on this consent agenda for disapproval. First is case number 2024-125-PL. It's the Fun and Furious Edition. It was a replat of 1 lot into 3 lots for commercial development located at 8505 Walton Boulevard. And the second case is 2024-373-PL, Plemming Villas Edition, preliminary and final plat. It was a replatting of 5 lots into 14 lots located at 2005 and 2009 State Highway 356.
All right, do we have a motion for disapproval for the reasons set forth in the staff memos?
I'll make a motion for disapproval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, let's go on to the individual items. Item number 7, Comprehensive Plan Amendment Case 2024-332-CP. And there's also has a companion case, item number 8, zoning case 2024-277-ZC. Those are located at 715 and 711 North Main Street and 114 West Union Bower Road. Is the applicant present? All right. We talked about it in the work session. Would you like to present?
My name is Oscar, and I'm here to request a zoning change.
Your name and
Oscar,
address?
Oscar, O-S-C-A-R,
Okay.
and I'm here to request
Your
a
full name?
Oscar, O-S-C-A-R, Chacon, C-H-A-C-O-N,
Thank you.
and I'm here to request a zoning change.
I'm sorry. And your address?
715 North Main Street.
Great, thank you. And you're seeking a zoning change on this property?
I'm sorry?
You're seeking a zoning change on this property?
Yes.
Do you want to say anything further, or,
No, I think,
okay, are you available if we have questions for you?
well, if you have, yes, please.
Okay, great. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? No?
Thank
You're
you.
off the hook. Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is there anybody who'd like to speak in opposition? There being no further comments, I'll return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
If no other commissioner has any, or if no commissioner has any discussion, I'd like to make a motion for Comprehensive Plan Amendment Case 2024-332CP for approval to City Council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And I will do the public hearing portion for the second part of it, for the zoning case portion, the zoning case 2024-277-ZC. Sir, you don't have to say anything more if you don't want to, but you do have the option.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Nope, then I'll return it to the council, or to the commission.
No one has any further comments. I'd like to make a motion for approval for zoning case 2024-277ZC for approval to City Council.
We have a motion. Do we have a
I
second?
second that.
We have a second. All right. From Commissioner Viglianti. Please vote. All right, and the motion passes unanimously. All right, so that goes to council, City Council, with a recommendation for approval, sir, for both those items. All right, moving on to item number 9. Zoning case 2024-323-ZC, located at 4835 North O'Connor Road, Suite 110. And then, of course, there's also the development plan 2024-376 DVP at the same address. Is the applicant present? Would you like to say anything further? You're good. Okay, all right. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? No? All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? All right, well then I'll return it to commission for any discussion and a motion on, well, the first one, the zoning case first.
If none of the fellow commissioners have any questions, I'd like to make a motion for zoning case 2024-323ZC be forwarded to the City Council for approval.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And the second part of that is the development plan 2024-376 DVP. Did you want to add anything on that one further? No? Okay. Anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anyone in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission.
If none of the fellow commissioners have any questions, I'd like to make a motion for Development Plan 2024-376 DVP to be forwarded to City Council with
It's
for
final
approval.
action.
Okay. For approval.
I'll second.
All right. So we have a motion and a second for final action by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right. Item number 11. Zoning case 2024-330-ZC, located at 1214 South Britton Road. Is the applicant present? Sir, would you like to say anything? Okay, thank you. Yeah, commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I actually do, if you come up to the front. Originally, did you have a site plan when you bought that property and it showed to be, what did it show that
Yes, sir.
area to be?
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes. Samuel Castillo, Jr., 1214 South Braden Road. And yes, I provided in a picture. That was one of the original copies that I got from my mortgage. And it stated that it was just a storage room.
That's what it stated it was,
Yes, sir.
storage room?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioners, have any other questions for the applicant?
Who's building that storage room that you have right now?
I did most of the job with my dad.
You're doing on your own?
Yes, yes, sir.
And at no point you had any idea you had to get a permit for this?
I do apologize, but no, I was not aware until I received notice. So that's when I first came up and I asked, it's my first property buying it. So I wasn't aware of anything. I still have more work to do it because there's so much damage to the house. But I was not aware.
Right, but based on the pictures, it doesn't look like it's the first time that you build something like this.
That was all me. I mean, I've done previous work. I remodeled houses. It's just something that I do as a labor man on the side. But this is my first time that I actually built it by myself with my father. That's it.
And what it used to be when you bought it? How tall was the structure?
I never measured it, but I think it was 15 feet tall, around that area. It looks like the previous owner was a carpenter because when inside of the house, it had literally if he was a remodeler or something. So it looks like he was building on his own time.
So what did you exactly do? Did you just tear down what it was there and you just decided to rebuild?
No, so what actually had happened on the side, so the left side neighbor had literally four trees laying on the storage room, so it was literally about to fall down. So I communicated this with my neighbor, and I was like, hey, we need to work this out, because either your trees are going to be throwing out my storage, and literally I don't want to get insurance involved because that's going to go high on me. And she's like, hey, I'm just going through a divorce, so I cannot even involve insurance. I have not even have custody of hey, can we do a claim or all this? And I was like, okay. And I spoke with her, and I was like, hey, if I throw them out, I just want to take no responsibility. If I do any damages, it's all on me, on my property. But if I do damages on your house, I just don't want to be reliable. And we both came to an agreement, and that's when I literally cut down the trees. There was 4 of them. Literally, all of them were literally falling down when it was like a storm around early spring. I have it logged in at home. But literally all those trees were laying on the storage room. So it was time that it was just about to fall. It was just depending on what time. Literally the roots were all rotten, and the neighbor could be my witness. She came and she's like, yeah, these are about to fall. So if you want to cut them down, that's up to you, but I have no money to pay for the service. So that's when I threw out the trees, and I literally started remodeling the storage room.
Okay. Thank you.
What are you planning on storing in there? What was it you planning on storing?
I'm just going to use it as storage room.
Well,
I have a lot of,
why is there a bunch of interior walls and stuff like that in there? What was the purpose for that?
so there's only one major wall, and then the other one's more like an L, just to sustain the top roof, that's it. But I'm just storing, one side of the section is going to be workout, fitness, and then the other side is just going to be storage, nothing else.
Okay.
And question, the height, over here, hi. The height, what made you decide on the height that is currently for your storage unit?
I wasn't planning, to be honest, I wasn't planning to go that high. I just miscalculated it, honestly, and when everything came down, it was just too high. Like, I don't have no reason. Like, it is a little bit too high. So, yeah, I miscalculated on that side.
Thank you.
The boundaries of the current building that you've been working on, how are they compared to what was originally there?
It's basically the same. When I bought the house, it's basically the same. It's just brand new material.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there a concrete slab underneath it?
Yes, there's concrete slide.
So does the concrete slab go that entire portion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition? Ma'am?
My name is Edith Miller, and I live at 1225 South Britton. I have lived in this house since 1966, and I can attest to the fact that that shed was not big like that, and it did not have that foundation there to rebuild on. It's way too close to the fence lines, it doesn't meet fire code, and it's an eyesore. And I went and polled my neighbors, three others which opposed it. I had other neighbors who said that they didn't want it, but they did not want to verbally oppose it due to the fact that they felt they might have retribution. I feel that's sad in our society nowadays. You can't feel you can speak against something without fear of being incriminated or something. And of all the plat that we were given on people who could speak against it, 3 of the homes are renters. 1 is vacant and has been vacant for 25 years. And then the others that said that they would say no, but they wouldn't fill out a form. So in opposition, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who actually verbally told me that they were opposed to this being the height that it is. It's so much taller than the house. It's an eyesore. It looks like somebody's built a house behind a house. It's just way too big, and it doesn't meet the code. And I'm sorry he didn't know about a permit beforehand. You would think you can't just build whatever you want anywhere. I have a shed. I went to the trouble of getting a permit, having it inspected. When I had electric put to it, I had the inspection again, and it is totally just a storage shed. And this building is so big, and even though he may say that he will only use it for this, I feel if he sold the property, it could be used for a rental property. It's that large. And so myself and my neighbors feel that it should be shrunk to be just the size of what a normal storage shed should be. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak? Well, was there anybody who wanted to speak in favor of the item? No. Anybody else who'd like to speak in opposition to the item? Then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
If none of the commissioners have anything else to say about it, I'd like to, zoning case 2024-3330-ZC for denial, disapproval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending denial. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. So that still goes to the city council You can raise your issues there, but it goes with a recommendation of denial. All right. On to item number 12. Zoning case 2024-341-ZC, located at 1422 English Street. Is the applicant present? Yes. Would you like to say anything?
Hi, I'm Efren Estrada. I'm representing my client on 1422 English Street, and we're proposing to subdivide the property. Right now, we have an existing property there, and the dark gray is the existing, and we're proposing to divide it, the lot into to build a different structure there at the back.
Okay. All right. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? No? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition? And I'll return it to the commissioners for discussion and a motion.
If no other commissioners have anything to,
It looks
I'd like to say one thing real quick.
go ahead.
As Daniel, I just wanted to make a comment that I did find the staff's findings in support of its recommendation of denial compelling. They noted that it was inconsistent with the intent of the zoning district, was resulting in a lot size far less than a minimum in the base district, and would not provide adequate construction site at that site. So in light of, what they observed and what I observed as well, I would not support this request. And so if no one else has any further comments, I'd be happy to make a motion to recommend denial for zoning case 2024-341-ZC.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending denial. Please vote. And the motion passed unanimously. So that similarly will go to council for a final decision. All right, moving on to item number 13. Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2024-344-CP, located at 801 Singleton Boulevard. Is the applicant present? Okay. Would you like to present? Do you want to present on this and the companion case at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, so that's zoning case 2024-343-ZC.
My name is Osvaldo Rojas, 2411 Skylark Drive, Dallas, Texas 75216. If you can look at the screen, well, let me start off with this. That property has been vacant for as long as the property has been vacant. The proposed use for that property before, when they built those apartments, they were going to extend it, but because the infrastructure couldn't handle multifamily, which is when we went to planning, I proved that the setbacks, easements, the sewer line that goes underneath, the wastewater that when it rains, everything that goes off that property when it rains, the problem with that property is that it could not hold that structure for any multifamily use. When I found this property was for sale and was under contract 12 different times, and all 12 potential buyers came to planning and asked for permission to do certain things to it. They were turned down, turned away. I'm up for a challenge, right? So when I came to planning, I did my research as far as what I can and can't build, what you guys would approve, what you guys would like to see in that area. And then I found this future land use. How far in the future, though, right? Because that area is 95% commercial, and that's just going 300 foot around that property. The property to the south, is there a remote or something? The property to the south of this land that, actually I have it here. Bear with me, please.
Do you have a slideshow you're trying to present?
I do.
Then there should be a clicker down in that drawer. If you pull out the drawer right there,
Use the
there
keyboard.
should be something you can move it around.
Okay. So I noticed that these site plans and these proposed site plans weren't presented to you guys from the beginning, which I sent with confirmation via email that they were received. Not only were they received, but I was asked to modify these plans for the fire department, the easements, the removal of carports that I had on this property for my personal trucks and my work trucks. Now, I do have some, I'll find it right now, but what I want to get to is this property was mocked up to match the area because I was told that it was multifamily and it was residential. So what I did is one side of the building would be a roofing company, which we don't do residential. I don't know why that was brought up. I was pretty adamant on my emails that we don't do residential. No material is to be left on at the location, at the address there, 801 Singleton. All of our contracts are multi-million-dollar contracts, Walmarts, Home Depots, big schools. So we have contracts with the suppliers that when we order material, they deliver it to site. When we finish a job site, they pick up the material. So the only thing that would be parked there would be our employees' work trucks, which is a regular pickup truck. We don't have 18-wheelers. And payroll, our offices right now, we work out of a condo off of Valley View. We've been there maybe a year. Prior to that, we were on Lombardi, and I did present a picture of that also, and for some reason it was left out. Something else was said earlier, before I get to that, something else was said earlier, stated that the area would be affected because of driving. Well, if you look at this map that I have here, how can I get that on there? Thank you. If you look at that map shows off of Singleton Boulevard that I am on the service road of the highway. I'm on the service road of the highway. The neighborhood that is in yellow to the south, right above it, which is Winsong Lane, does not have access to Singleton. Their access comes from the other road. I'm not sure if it shows the...
Irving Heights.
Irving Heights. There is no access to it. So anyone walking that like Ms. Gina stated, that wants to walk to a store or whatever the case is nearby, well, they don't have access because it doesn't butt up to that Singleton Avenue. The only 4 properties that are available to walk down the street for service, like she stated, are 4 houses, which 2 are under contract by me. Now, if you go to the businesses in that area, there is not one business that you can walk to if you wanted to. It's a mechanic shop, window shop, auto, you purchase a vehicle, car lots. Every single business besides a fast food or grocery store that's there is nowhere near. So again, the reason why I want to build this there, right? The reason why I want to put this building at this location is for the same reason that for the last 2-3 years, seller has been trying to sell this property and has been turned away from planning over and over and over the buyers. The reason why it's designed this way is to cater to the area. The historical district, there's a building exactly like that right down the street. With this building here, I also, please keep in mind when I said that the apartment complex could not build there because the infrastructure's not there. There it is there. So if you look on your screen, because there's sewer running through the south side of that property, the easements to come off the road, only 30% of that lot is buildable. So if you think about that, that's a 100 by 40 foot building, which is what I'm proposing. If we were to put a multi-family use there, like it's zoned, you couldn't build anything that's worth it because the property is $500,000. $500,000 and a $1 million property build for 2 or 3 condos, you won't get your money back, which is why it's vacant. That future land use, I understand that that's something you guys want to see or the city wants to see. But please remember, you guys are not the only ones in the city. People live there. People that go to work, people that want a job. I can put 27 jobs tomorrow on that roofing company. Right next to it is a company that I just started with someone that just wrote a letter that she received earlier before she said she got the opposing letter. She did get a letter an hour or 45 minutes before this meeting started at 5:30 from an investor, which is a investor and mentor for the Dallas Cowboys. His name is Mr. Montgomery, Clee Montgomery. That letter was presented and gave it to her, and I don't see it on there either. So my thing is, if you want to see growth, if you want to see expansion, if you want to see something positive, this is the way to go. I didn't want to put a shopping mall because it was turned down. I didn't want to put a daycare because whatever you approve me to do, I can build there, but the infrastructure's not there. When we went into planning, I asked everyone there, hey, does anybody have any questions? Everyone there was positive about it. They want to see this property go. That retainer pond that's in the front of that property, I have to build, which is 20% of the property. Why? Because it's in flood area in the front. The drainage of that water can't go anywhere. 20% of that and 40% of the build.
You have 1 minute remaining.
40% of the build is what you see in front of you. If you want to change the look, no problem. You want stone, no problem. You want rustic, we can make it happen. But as far as what Ms. Gina stated, materials being left out, there's no reason for it. If you look back and you go on Google, which that picture was also submitted, the West Roofing Company on Lombardi, you take an aerial view and there's not one piece of material outside other than the trucks. And it's a 2-acre lot also. The reason why we don't have it is because we sold it. It was a good time to sell, and so we sold it. Now we're looking to expand. The right side of that building is for a company called Confiar, which means trust, which is my real estate company with my partners like Mr. Clee and a few investors that were trying to come, but again, there's no Zoom here. They couldn't come to the meeting. So the investors that help with projects to purchase, you want to see townhomes in that area? No problem. I can build those. But if you don't allow me to build my office, then why would I try to build anything else? An apartment complex tax revenue there, maybe 8,000 for the units.
Your time is actually up. Are you about done?
I'm sorry?
Your time is over.
Okay.
But are you about done? You about
Yes.
to wrap up? Okay.
Yeah, tax revenue, $8,000 for that multifamily use. This one here, that'll be a $10 million property after we're done with it, the way you see it there. If you can figure the tax on that, I think you can change your mind on the future land use and give me that project. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? If you could hold up a second, so people might have questions.
I have a question. So you mentioned that you are not able to build more like 20% of the land, 30% of the land. Do you have a-
30% of the land, correct.
And part of it is also on a flood zone?
No, sir. There is, so there is no flood zone in that area. What happens is there is no way for the water to run off and run away from. So which is why they asked me for a retaining pond. It look exactly like you have it outside in front of your building. Pond in the front, water fountain as something nice for the area. You could see it right off the highway because it is on the highway. It's not on a private road. It's not on a smaller road. So that's the reason why you need a retention pond. Anybody that builds anything that you guys might approve has to have that retention pond. Otherwise, you can't build.
Now, are you the buyer? Are you the seller?
I'm all of it.
You.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the buyer.
You're the
I'm the
buyer.
builder.
Okay.
The seller gave letter for us to be able to propose this. Pending your outcome is pending whether we purchase this $500,000 property or not.
Right. The property is under option contract right now.
That's correct.
Yeah. But you're saying that you have tried to look into building something else in there, but you are saying also that your business is roofing and a real estate company.
Correct.
So how come are you trying to build other businesses if other, like you said, the townhomes, how come can you build townhomes? My understanding is that you're able to build multifamily.
I am able to build townhomes, and I'll show you one that's right down the street that I actually built. The thing is that
But that's not what you said. You said that you were not able to build townhomes.
you're not able to build. You're not. With the restrictions and the easements and the setbacks that the city has there on that, we do have a site plan and we do have a survey.
So you're trying to buy the property to build something?
No, to build my roofing company. I want to put my commercial roofing company on the left side of that property. Why? Because we're in Irving, right off the highway. We won't make a noise. We don't do construction there, mainly offices. But I don't want to pitch you something like just this building and then sell it to someone else. I want to keep and build that for my company. This is our permanent home for both. And the reason why is because you're not going to give anybody else permission to build anything else because of these easements. If someone wants to build the townhome, you'd have to go 60 or 100 by 40 and go up 3 stories. And you have a 30 foot, what do you call it? Height restriction. So it'd be 2-story. Where would my retention pond? Why would I build $30,000 retention pond for you guys? Because you guys are the ones that don't have the runoff. So we would have to build that. What would I price it at? $1 million project with a $600,000 lot. I'd be building it for you.
You have the survey?
I do. And that also was submitted. This survey is right here. 801 Singleton. I'm sorry, there's more than 60 emails going back and forth with the planning department.
That's fine if another commissioner has any questions.
Actually, I'd like to show it to you because it shows the easements and what you can't build on it. I just had it now and it's just finding it here. Please, it'll be brief, please. This is the survey there. Okay. I don't know if I could zoom that in or not, but there we go. Okay. So as you can see, the green line at the bottom is a sewer line. We can't build on that, and we can't be near that, a certain linear feet away from that, which puts the building in the center. Then the fence line on the top, they told us we couldn't do that either, so which is why we developed the site plan that we have. Why? Because fire asked for that. Everything we could build, we put in that scheme. We didn't leave 1 foot off. So whatever's allowed for this building or for residential is the only thing you can build. But with mine, you leave the grass area in the back, which is where the runoff would go. The pond in the front. If you put an apartment complex there, 90% of that place would have to be in concrete for parking for individuals. So you can't build a multifamily. I know it was proposed, but the research wasn't done with what's under the ground and the easements and setbacks. Was that?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rojas, I have a
Yes, ma'am.
question. You selected the neighborhood commercial as the zoning category?
No, ma'am. When I came in to ask to see what we could do, the young lady at the front desk told me to put SP1 or SP2. When I submitted that for the preliminary, I was told that what I wanted to do wasn't allowed because of the trucks, the 18-wheelers, the materials. So when I explained to them that I don't do residential, they told me that I had to look in the book. I stated that I didn't know what I was looking for or where can I get help to see where I fall in order to do this. Again, got a little pushback. Look for it. Can't help you there. You have to pay somebody to do it. So I did. I paid someone. Her name is Monica. She did the rendering. She did the 3D. She did everything for me. She wasn't able to make it. But when she did do the research, the FFUL, I believe it's called, FFUL for zoning in that area, it does fall into that, your proposed use. As long as I'm not building anything there, as long as I'm not like the other gentleman that's cutting stuff there. This building and this business is allowed under your future use. I just have to cater on how it looks. And whatever you want to do is what I'll build. That's not a problem at all. I just need to be allowed.
I have a question for staff. Where does office professional building fall in terms of the comprehensive plan? Because I would think an office professional building would be more suited to what he's attempting to build, and then you're
of the district or the comprehensive plan?
well, both,
So,
I guess, because
yeah.
he's got both cases here.
Yeah, so the request is neighborhood commercial, and we do have the commercial office district for just simply office uses. The local commercial future land use is appropriate for both of those, if that's what he would want to do.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, I got a question for staff. Is what he stated up here a while ago, so he can do this by right, what he's wanting to do right now?
No. So the future, the zoning and the future land use is compact neighborhood. The zoning is for the multifamily. So could not do it by right the way it is today.
Okay. Can you clarify what you were saying?
Yes, I can
earlier, So
clarify.
that way I understand.
Yes, I can clarify. When Ms. Gina stated right now, that lot in the future land use starts with that lot residential. 95% of that area, even to the south of that, on the highway, off the highway, in that area, if you guys drove through there to see the sign,
I did.
is industrial commercial. The whole thing, unless there's a city buyout, I don't think you're gonna change the land use for everyone. And if you do change the land use for future land use, that means that every business there is not gonna be able to sell, because if they do sell, it'll be zoned residential or multifamily for your future use. But if you look at the map, it starts on that property. That beige part right there, those 5 houses like Ms. Gina stated, I talked to everybody there. No one opposed. They looked forward to it because they thought I could fix their roof. There is no in and out of that road, which is why fire didn't want me to put an entrance on that side. No problem. We put a big enough entrance to that property so 2 trucks, fire trucks, can go in and out, which is an additional $100,000 in concrete. Not a problem. We build whatever you say is allowed. The thing is that property is going to be stayed vacant for another 20 years, unless the city's going to take it over and build their own condos, because no one in their right mind as a builder and investor will build that. Will build any condo, any home, or anything because of the restrictions and the easements. So when I heard a case earlier that you weren't opposed, I'm sorry, Ms. Jocelyn, to changing or amending the land use because you had to do a little bit more research. That's all I'm asking. If you guys are gonna vote against it, or some are, how about we do a little bit more research on if it's possible to keep that multifamily or compact. I'm on the exit ramp.
So are you requesting this thing be postponed?
I'm requesting that you allow me to build this and bring business to the city and bring this project to the city, because the way I designed it and the way I proposed it, it looked better than the houses that are there.
Are you aware of this letter that was handed to us a while ago by the owner of the property or the apartments behind you?
No, I wasn't. But were you also given the letter from Mr. Clay Montgomery at the same time?
No, sir.
No, because when I asked her to print it, she said she had already got her belongings and came down, so she couldn't print it. But I was able to upload it to the MGO. Are you able to see that? So I wasn't shown that letter or what they opposed. If they opposed the pond, then no one can build anything. If they oppose the business, then no one else can build anything else, because you can't build a house or a condo on it. So is there a way to find out what that letter says?
The topographical you just presented, if I read it properly, shows that the water will drain off that property.
But your professional staff stated that it won't.
Yeah.
At the preliminary meeting.
It shows it has a fall based upon the figures of the topographical.
It has a fall, but it doesn't have an out.
Yeah.
At your planning, when we discussed this, when we discussed this, 2 of the city planners that were at that meeting stated that there's no way for water to leave that area.
Okay.
It's needed to have a retention pond, which is about 20% of the property. 100 by 30 at the end and 20 at the beginning.
Okay.
All they
Commissioners
asked.
have any other questions?
No.
Great, thank you.
That's it?
Yep.
Thanks.
I do have a question for staff. Is there, in terms of Christine, any comments on the?
I don't see anybody here from CIP in terms of the drainage. I don't know if anybody have any comment on that. But we didn't know if, Christine, you've had any comment from inspections in terms of the easements or the developability of the site?
I haven't had any meetings or don't know anything about any other meetings that were held about this, but if there's any easements, you just can't build in an easement. But I would need CIP to address any detention pond.
I know my time is up, but I did record the last meeting because I have dyslexia, so I have to record stuff. It stated, and I made sure that I asked it twice. they stated the same thing, that there's no way for that water to go anywhere, which is why it's all overgrown grassland. So I would have to put that in there. As soon as I put it on the site plan, he okayed it. Fire marshal okayed it. As long as there's no bridge over it, everybody okayed it, which is why my rendering went 5 times. But it's not presented until I presented it.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Yes, ma'am.
Maria Escobar, 8307 Van Pelt. And I want to push it forward just to develop on this property itself. I think it'll be great for everyone in the area and for the city as well.
Great, thank you. All right. Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Sir?
Good evening. My name is Troy Nelson. My address is 8007 Hydrangea Road in Ore City, Texas. I came a ways, but I've been looking at the documents, looking at the communications, and I just want to give my support to the project. I would ask if we can take a look at this. Okay, so this is the one thing that I would direct you. I know you have this in your file, I believe you do, but this is the site plan that was submitted, but it's also the site plan that he's looking at right now. And what it shows is the buildable square footage on that thing is approximately 30 to 40 feet wide and 100 feet long on the building. And whether you do it as a metal building, brick building, I don't think that's the issue. But when you look at it, having looked at a lot of these projects, I have never seen anyone who was willing to build multifamily that couldn't go over 20 feet tall or 30 feet tall and 40 by 100 feet. It's just not something that you're going to see. And if you did build it there, I can't imagine who would live there. Now, I don't know why the apartment complex next door has got an issue. Haven't seen the letter. But I think the plan must have always been that he was going to get the property and expand his building, but I don't think I think there's been plenty of opportunity for that, and I don't think it's been done. So other than that, again, just in support of the project because I think it raises the taxable base, and I think it does put the highest and best use of the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and ultimately a motion.
I got one question for staff. I guess, what would it take to develop something like this with city's approval?
So this is not an unusual site in terms of where the easements are and drainage requirements. This is a very standard development site. Why has it not built for multifamily? I can't say why. I don't know what the history was on it, but I don't see anything that's aberrant on this site that would make it any more difficult than another site. It's not unusual for a site that is completely pervious cover today to require some type of drainage to be able to maintain that runoff on the property and to slow it down. So that's pretty normal as well.
So it don't build up speed?
Right. So I don't see anything different. There are easements on here, but most properties have some type of easements.
The infrastructure on it, okay.
I will probably just say, like, one of the issues I have, it's also the residential down the south of that property. I mean, their values might be affected by building the commercial property right there. So that's one of the issues I have, but I do understand as well I mean, what else can you build there, or why they haven't, because we don't know either, or what can happen in the future. So that's something we don't know. So, yeah, so that's probably my take on this.
Any further comments?
Yeah, the only comment I have is similar to Commissioner, is that, north, south, and west are all residential areas, right? Regardless if it's single-family or duplex or multifamily, there are still residents living in those three directions. And so I think that's my area of concern, is that we'll be putting a commercial in between those three residential areas, right? So that's kind of my concern right now. Don't get me wrong, I think what you presented, it looks amazing. I think it would definitely be aesthetically pleasing, but looking at the big picture, my only concern is that it would be surrounded on three sides by residential living right now, so.
No, sorry.
That's just my.
The public hearing portion's over.
I want to remind her, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. I want to remind the commissioners that we have in the past, really looked at multifamily and all them houses to include them as like residential, and include them in our Rs and stuff like that. So that way we're taking in consideration a lot of the people that will be living there and seeing this every day.
My only comment is, I love the vision, and I love that you want to put your business here in Irving. My only further comment, piggybacking off Priscilla, is that we do, with the comprehensive plan being zoned as is, and the need for additional homes here in Irving, I just feel your plan is great, but not in this location.
Right, the public hearing portion's over. Sorry.
So, I guess I just wanted to make a few comments. I think what we're being asked to decide today is not the site plan itself, but changing from essentially a residential use to a commercial use. What I find the most compelling about the application is that it is so close to the highway. And it is hard to imagine what else would be a better, I mean, I understand it's surrounded by some residential use, but I'm honestly torn by this, because I did find it compelling, just the nature of at least what's proposed, even though I understand it's not binding, and taking into consideration the location. So.
Any further discussion?
No, I agree with Daniel. I mean, it is off the highway, and I think a lot of us commissioners that. So I think his concept is great. I don't know if that's exactly what's going to be built. I mean, it's just a concept. But the surrounding residential area is where I have the biggest problem with this. So there's no way I'm going to be able to support it. But it's like Daniel, it's sort of, you're torn in between it because it is on the highway. It does potentially have frontage on the highway. So, but at this point, I won't be able to support it.
Any further discussion, or do we have a motion?
If
Yeah, the comp plan is the first one.
I'll make a motion for comprehensive plan if there's no other commissioners' input. 2024-344-CP be moved to City Council for denial.
All second.
We have a motion and a second recommending denial. Please vote. And the motion passes 6-1-1. Oh, apparently you're supposed to be 6-2? Okay, it was supposed to be. Do you want us to revote that, or do you want to stick with abstain for now?
No, I'll revote.
I think we have to do a motion to be able to revote it, don't we?
No.
We can just revote. Okay.
Give them a second.
They're going to reset it for us. Yeah. No, I understand. All right, please vote again. And the motion passes 6-2. All right. And the second part of this is the zoning case 2024-343-ZC. I believe you already used your time to speak on it before.
Was it the time for the last one, or is there another 5 minutes for this? 10 minutes.
Because I think you were given 10 minutes for the previous one, is my recollection.
All I would like to address is the young lady's comment, and then that's it.
If it can be brief.
I can.
I think we ought to give him at least 3 minutes.
30 minutes?
No. I'm the
3
chair.
minutes is fine, no problem. Okay. So I get where you guys are coming from. I also drove around because if I can build a townhome for you, I will. What you're not understanding is I would like for you to drive, because this isn't over, because I'm coming back and back and back until it's approved. My thing is that you're stating you want more development, but who in this building right now can afford $1.2 million apartment? Do you want to see apartments? I can build you apartments, but not there. It's not supported. You want to see more housing? No problem. That's why I'm moving there, so I can build more housing. If you drive to the apartment complex on the other side, there's an 18-wheeler business that runs right next door. If you go beside the houses that you're stating that has the cul-de-sac with the exit on the other side, there's a church behind them. They'll be louder than me. I just want you to know that I'm doing everything I can to purchase this and make money for my household, or purchase this and keep my home there as a business, right? But I know you want homes, but that's not the place. If you just go down, take that square out of your multifamily or zoning and lower that down, it matched the entire neighborhood. So you want housing, I can build you housing. No one's gonna build there. You're just gonna get 2 apartments, 1.2 each. I don't see anybody here that's gonna move into one, especially with the noise. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to it? Then I'll return it to the commission for any further discussion and a motion.
I'd like to make a point. Mr. Rojas, we're not the end of the line.
Right.
Yeah.
So no matter what we say, the city council has final vote. So you have the opportunity to pitch your case to city council, and you've been terribly persuasive this evening. But we are bound by our obligation and our role and responsibility to look at the future land use. But city council has the opportunity to weigh in and will weigh in.
I just need that opportunity.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
If we don't have any other commissioner inputs, zoning case 2024-343-ZZ, I move to city council for denial.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second recommending denial. Please vote. And the motion passes 6-2. And as Vice Chair Hack mentioned, you still have it before to be able to take it to City Council, to be able to present your case there. I did want to mention to you one thing. that came up, one of the commissioners commented on, but I wasn't sure if you were aware of the images you had of your plans. Those aren't one of the things that we get to vote on. So that may be why it wasn't in our packet. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it looks great. I agree. But we all know that we actually aren't voting on that issue. We're just voting on the comprehensive plan amendment and the zoning change. And so that'll be one of the things that certainly you can present that to council and talk to them about that. But just so you know, that's just not part of what we get to decide. Like you were commenting, the aesthetics, it looked beautiful. And even if we wanted to control how you made it look, make sure you made it look beautiful like that, we're not able to do that. So we do appreciate that that's what you intend, and really hope that it works out for you, whether in this property and some other. Thank you. All right, let's go on to the next one. Item number 15, Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2024-413-CP. And there's also the companion zoning case 2024-363-ZC. He usually wants to. You want to present on these both at the same time?
Please.
Great.
I'll try to make it very quick. Chairman Skinner, members of the commission, I'm Jim Dewey with JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, Irving, Texas. I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner that came before you and City Council in 2023 and was able to obtain approval of rezoning of a piece of property that had very limited frontage on Maxwell. And what he wanted to do is put in a post-operative, non-critical care medical facility with a maximum of 4 beds. But the property was very limited. He couldn't expand it. Due to the floodplain, couldn't get a bigger building. So I think he made a very smart decision, and he bought the property between that property and Pioneer, and it allows him to build a bigger building and provide more medical type services. And also the access will be off of Pioneer and not Maxwell, which I think is beneficial to the neighbors there, the few that live on Maxwell. So with that being said, I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I respectfully request you follow the staff recommendation and recommend approval to the City Council.
Okay. Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? No? Thank you, Jim. All right. Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commissioners for a discussion and a motion.
Seeing no other comments from my fellow commissioners, I'd like to forward case number 2024-413-CP to City Council for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. So now we're on the zoning case 2024-363-ZC. I assume you didn't have anything further to say, Mr. Dewey? Okay. For the public hearing portion, is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to it? No? Then I'll return it to the commission.
If no other commissioner has any comments, I'd like to make a motion for zoning case 2024-363-ZC for a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, then we are on to item number 17. This is zoning case 2024-364-ZC at 2701 East Grawweiler. Is the applicant present? Yes.
I am. Tyler Reek, 2700 Commerce Street, Dallas, Texas, 75226.
And are you speaking on both items or just the first one?
I will speak on both if that's okay with you guys.
That's wonderful.
Okay. Is there a clicker?
I think you use the keyboard.
Help if I pull it up. Thank you for the time. We've worked with staff over the last several weeks. We presented in November, I'm sure you probably remember. Staff's been great to work with, and part of that time that we took was to really do a better job demonstrating the challenges that we have with the topography of the site, with the grading, and we put together some additional exhibits and provided those to the city, which you can probably see their recommendation has changed after we were able to meet with them and go through some of the challenges with developing this property. With that, I'd like to go through the variances that we're seeking here. We have minimized actually as a part of this new hearing. So we've removed 2 of the variances on both of the cases and minimized the parking reduction that we're asking for, which was previously 1 per 2,000, and now we're at 1 per 1,500 of floor area. The ones I'd like to highlight here are relative to the PUD 6 portion, which is the portion of the property that fronts 183. What we're requesting here is that we be allowed to set the building back 150 feet. The requirement is 60 feet. A lot of that is due to the grading of the site. So the building has to physically be set back further in order to have adequate driveway slopes that are safe for traffic to access the building and back and forth. And so that's the main reason that we're requesting that setback. Additionally, allows for landscape. I'm going to get to that here in a second. With that, we're also requesting to add 1 additional row of parking in front of the building, making a total of 2 rows for that building. We do have, again, topography issues on both sides of the buildings. We were able to get parking on one side, but due to the driveway slopes, creates unsafe conditions for passenger vehicles to be parked along the west side, which is the reason for the second row in front. With the parking variance being 1 to 1,000 and us requesting 1 per 1,500, we took some time to do a study of comparable buildings in the immediate area as well as other projects that Hines has developed. This building here sits directly across the highway from this proposed project along 183. And what you'll see here is we did a time lapse of the amount of auto parking that was actually utilized year over year. It's based on Google Images. And the parking ratio blended over those 4 time periods is approximately 1 space per 3,100 square feet being utilized. And so the goal of our request is to build the parking that's needed and not have excessive parking that does not get used. We've provided a couple other examples here. This is another project that my company developed in Louisville. Same thing here, 1 space per 2,300 based on the tenants that lease these buildings and operate out of these facilities. We went through this last time. I think it was probably a little less sophisticated on this, but I did want to highlight the grading challenges here again. So if this reads north to south, north being 183, you can see that at the start of Building 1's driveway there, we're at an elevation of 444, and down at Grawweiler, further south on the paper, we're at 503, which is almost 60 feet of slope from north to south, going uphill. And so it's been a very challenging site, as you can tell with the retaining walls, the grading. Our engineers have done a fantastic job putting together a plan that works, but it was not an easy feat. And so I want to express these aren't blanket requests. These are challenges that we have specific to the site and what we can and can't do based on the topography, retaining walls, and the cut fill that we have to do to make the site. Here's a rendering of what we intend to build. Again, Building 1 there, as shown, is shown assuming that staff and planning and zoning approves our variance for 2 rows of parking, and the building be allowed to be set back 150 feet. So this is close-up proposed corner from the northwest looking south. And this is what the building would look like with the variances and the additional row of parking. This is the building moved up within 60 feet. You have to have a 30-foot landscape buffer, 26-foot fire lane, and then basically the building has to be right there with no parking in front of it. And so this is what it looks like based on under the current ordinance. These are street views that we put together with the renderings layered in to demonstrate how far back the building is set, as well as the parking is very well screened. So this is a south view at the intersection of 183 and Maryland. This is as you're going down the access road on 183. As you can see, the parking again is screened due to the topography, as well as the landscape buffer that we have. And this is the head-on view from the middle driveway of Building 1. I want to provide a couple real examples of similar projects that we have built in the area. This is probably the most comparable. We recently completed this earlier this year in Louisville. This is at 35 and 121. Very similar building right here to what we intend to build on this property. Same functionality, same configuration. It's a rear load facility with multiple rows of parking. This is a project in Houston that was recently completed by my counterparts in our Houston office. Again, rear load facility. Just wanted to give you a real-time example of something that we've actually built. And with that, I'll stop and answer any questions.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
No, I don't got a question. I'd just like to tell you thank you for going back to the drawing board, looking at everything, revising it, working with staff on your topographical. I know it was challenging trying to get it back, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Doesn't look like any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are currently on the first one of these, the zoning case. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
If there's no other discussion from the commissioners, I'd like to move zoning case 2024-364-ZC to the city council for approval.
I second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And now we're on Development Plan 2024-365-ZC. And this one is for final action by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Nope. Then I will return it to the commission.
If no other commissioner has any further comments, I'd like to move Development Plan 2024-365 DVP for final action for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending approval, or rather, for approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 7-1. All right. On to item number 19. This is zoning case 2024-381-ZC, located at 1220, 1224, 1300, and 1304 East Shady Grove Road. Is the applicant present? All right. Would you like to present or speak? Okay. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
I actually got one question for the applicant.
Sir, would you mind coming up to the microphone?
State your name and...
Julio Roman, address 3015 Milmore Drive, Dallas, Texas.
Thank you.
You've read the comments from traffic on
Yes.
this. Y'all guys are okay with making the necessary changes and everything else?
Yes, yeah. They sent us some changes before we submitted the site plan, and then I believe comments were given after the deadline. But yeah, basically any necessary, what we submitted was
So you're
just.
willing to change up your design or
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
takes to make it work?
Yeah, the original floor plan is obviously just schematic to show the relationship between the commercial on the left and the residential on the right. So, it just shows the minimum setbacks and other things like that, but any recommendations that we're given, we will pretty much have to accommodate. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're willing.
Because I think what Commissioner Lightfoot is partly getting at is, well, all we would be doing, or then the council doing, is making the zoning change.
Mhm.
And then those other requirements you would still need to comply with.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? No?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
If no other commissioner has any comments, I'd like to approve zoning case 2024-381ZC for city council for approval. Motion for approval.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, item number 20. Zoning case 2024-387-ZC, located at 2420 River Hill Road. Is the applicant present? All right. Would you like to say anything? Okay. All right. Great, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? No? All right, you're off the hook. Okay, anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Nope, then I'll return it to the commission.
I'd like to make a motion to forward zoning case 2024-387-ZC to City Council for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. Mr. Dewey, looks like you're up again. Item number 21, zoning case 2024-390-ZC, located at 220 Virginia Street and 320 North O'Connor Road.
I'm so sorry, but I'm back. I'm Jim Dewey with JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, Irving, Texas. This is pretty straightforward. It complies with the comp plan and the current zoning. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have about the case.
That's not the right image for it. That's the previous one.
What? Yeah, that's not the right
Yeah, that's the wrong
property.
property up on the screen. I don't know who's controlling that. Okay, thanks.
That's it.
All right, much better. Any questions for the applicant? No? All right, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, if there's no other comments to be made by other commissioners. Zoning case 2024-387.
390.
390. All right, I'm reading it off here. 390CC. Be forwarded to City Council with recommendation of approval.
I second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. All right, and the motion passes unanimously. Okay, so our next two items, the applicant has requested postponement, but since it was already noticed, we're doing a public hearing anyway. case somebody does want to comment on it tonight. I'm assuming the applicant's not present for this? No, does not appear to be. Is there anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition on item 22, Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2024-389-CP at 4401 North State Highway 161? Nobody in favor or opposition. All right, then I'll return it to the council for a motion, presumably, back to commission, for a motion for postponement to the January 6th, 2025
So moved.
hearing. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Please vote. Motion passed unanimously. Second part of it, zoning case 2024-391-ZC at the same address. Anybody like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? There being no one, I'll return it to the commission. For a motion for postponement to the January 6, 2025 hearing.
Make a motion for postponement to January 6th, 2025. Postponement.
All right.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And that is it. Meeting is adjourned at 8:41 p.m. And yeah, I guess we won't see you until after Christmas, so Merry Christmas.